students, welcome back to next lecture in Java. Today we are going to discuss the introductory part of Java programming. So I have given few points here. The points are: who developed Java? Java is a programming language, as we know. Who developed Java? Java was developed by James Gosling. Java is developed by a person called it's not a person actually, it's a group of people developed. The main head of that group is James Gosling. So we usually tell that Java has been developed by James Gosling. And that Java has been developed at Sun Microsystem. It is a company. Sun Microsystem is a software company. In that company, James Gosling, at the time he was working with that company, at that time James Gosling team has developed Java programming language around 1991. In the year around 1991. Okay. So at that time we usually call Java as Sun Java. We are calling it as Sun Java. Okay. Now later at some point of time in some 2000 or so, it was acquired by a company called Oracle. Java has been acquired by a company or handed over by a company called Oracle. Everyone know that there is a company called Oracle, no? So Oracle company has been acquired the Java. So now we are calling Java as not Sun Java, but we are calling it as Oracle Java, because it was acquired by this company. We are calling Java as Oracle Java now, not Sun Java. Okay. So who developed Java programming? James Gosling had developed Java programming at Sun Microsystems. So at that point of time in 1990s, we usually call Java as Sun Java. Okay, later it was acquired by a company called Oracle. Now we are calling it as Oracle Java but not Sun Java. Okay. The next one is Java is an object-oriented programming language. What kind of language it is? Java is object-oriented programming language. We'll discuss what are all these object-oriented programming means. All those things we'll be discussing in this lecture. Okay. Fine. So Java is an object-oriented programming language. And Java, for what kind of applications we use Java? Java can be used to develop variety of applications. Few applications I'll be specifying here. Some applications are Java can be used to develop web applications. Java is a programming language which is used to develop variety of applications. Few applications I am listing out here. One is web applications and the second one is Android applications. We can develop on Android applications also by using Java. And the third one is we can develop games also by using Java programming language, and we can also develop embedded systems. Embedded systems can also be developed by using Java programming language. Okay, even big data, some big data technologies also developed by using Java only. Big data technologies. Okay, so these are the few applications which where we use Java to write the applications. What is the first application? Web applications. The second one is Android applications, games, embedded systems and big data technologies. If you remember, Netflix, we'll be using Netflix, no? Today everyone are using Netflix. In Netflix, some of the applications has been developed using Java only. Netflix applications has been developed by using Java. Similarly, Android application, we know Spotify, no? Everyone are using an app called Spotify nowadays. Okay, so that Spotify has been written using Java programming language. That is an Android application. Spotify is an Android application which was written using Java programming language. Similarly, nowadays a famous computer program is there. What is that? Minecraft. Minecraft is a famous computer program which is designed by using which programming language, students? It's Java programming language. Okay, and big data technologies like Hadoop has been developed by using on top of Java only, by using Java only. Okay, so these are the very basic introductory part of Java programming language. Who developed Java programming language? James Gosling developed Java programming language at Sun Microsystems in the year 1991. Later it was acquired by a company called Oracle. Now we are calling Java as Oracle Java but not Sun Java. Okay, it is an object-oriented programming language. We'll see what is object and all in the next couple of minutes. Okay, and for what kind of applications we use Java? Java can be used to write variety of applications like embedded systems, Android applications, web applications. Even if you observe IRCTC, we usually use IRCTC, no? This web application to book railway tickets. Even that application also uses Java programming language. That application has been designed by using Java programming language like servlets, JSPs and advanced concepts of Java programming language. Okay, and games also. We can even develop games by using this programming language. The best example is Minecraft game, which is a very famous game nowadays. Everyone are playing. Okay, and big data technologies like Hadoop is also developed by using Java programming language. So these are the basic introductory part of Java programming. Now we will see the next topic. We'll be moving on to the programming part now. Before writing the Java programs, I'll be giving some introductory things to you. The first introductory concept is data types. We'll see the data types in Java now. Okay. So the next topic is data types in Java. Okay, fine. So we'll discuss what is data type first. What is data type? And types of data types. Different types of data types we'll discuss. And we'll discuss primitive data types in detail. We'll discuss primitive data types in detail. So these are the things I'm going to cover in this topic. The topic is data types. So what is the first question? The first question is, what is data type? So what is data type? So the definition of data type is, data type specifies the size and data type specifies the size and type of values an identifier can hold, can store. So students, what is data type? I have given the definition here. Data type specifies the size and type of the values that an identifier can store. Okay, this is the definition of data type. Data type specifies the size and type of the values an identifier can store. Okay, now how many types of data types are there? Data types are two types. One is primitive data types. The first segregation is primitive data types. The second one is non-primitive data types. There are two types of data types. One is primitive data types and another one is non-primitive data types. We'll discuss primitive data types in detail in today's lecture, and about non-primitive data types we'll be discussing in next couple of lectures. Okay, just I'll be giving what are the different non-primitive data types we are having. The non-primitive data types in Java are classes, interfaces, arrays. These are non-primitive data types in Java. Okay. Now we will see primitive data types supported by Java. So the third question is primitive data type supported by Java. So we have seen what is data type. What is data type? Data type specifies two things. One is the size of the size as well as the type of the values an identifier is holding. Okay. And how many types of data types are there? Two types of data types are there. One is primitive data type, another one is non-primitive data types. Under non-primitive data types, we are having classes, interfaces and arrays. Under primitive data types, we'll see what are all comes. Okay, fine. So primitive data type. types. Now we will see what are the different primitive data types we are having. The primitive data types are short. There are 8 primitive data types supported by Java. Those are short, long, int, boolean, char, float, double, byte. These are the 8 primitive data types supported by Java. How many primitive data types are there in Java? There are 8 primitive data types in Java. Those are short, long, int, boolean, char, float, double, byte. These are the 8 different data types in Java. Okay. Now we will see some key points in these data types. Okay. So primitive data types. There are 8 primitive data types in Java. How many primitive data types? 8 primitive data types we are having. I'll be listing all those here. The first one is short. The second one is int. The third one is long. The next one is float, double, char, boolean, and byte. These are the 8 primitive data types in Java. Okay, as these are data types, we should be every data type should be written only in the small letters but not in the capital letters. Okay, so what is the size of this data type and what are the default values, and the description also we are going to see now. The short. The size of the short is 2 bytes. The size of the short is 2 bytes. The size of int occupies 4 bytes of memory, and long occupies 8 bytes of memory. Float occupies 4 bytes of memory. Double occupies 8 bytes of memory. Char occupies 2 bytes of memory. Boolean occupies only 1 bit. It's not byte, it's bit. Remember carefully. Look carefully. Boolean occupies how much memory? It occupies only 1 bit. And byte occupies 1 byte. Okay, so these are the sizes. What is data type? In the definition itself I have given. Data type specifies the size and the type of values. So what is the size of these data types I have given here? The size of short is 2 bytes and rest of the things I have written here. Okay, fine. Next, coming to the default values. The default values of short is 0. For int also it is 0. For long it is 0L. For float it is 0.0F. For double it is 0.0D. And for char it is /U0000. Okay, we'll discuss what is this. And boolean it is false. And byte it is 0. These are the default values of the data types. Data type specifies the size as well as type of values. Okay, these are the default values. Coming to the description part, in short we can store whole numbers. It stores whole numbers. We know what is whole numbers. Okay, and the range is minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. And int also stores whole numbers. Int also stores whole numbers. But the range will be little different, more than this range. And long also stores whole numbers. Float stores fractional numbers. Stores fractional numbers. Okay. And double also stores fractional numbers. Character stores single characters. And boolean stores either true or false values. It stores either true or false values. Byte stores again whole numbers. The range is minus 128 to plus 127. This is the range. It stores the values. So the data type specifies the size as well as type of the values an identifier can store. Okay, the size of each data type I have given here, except boolean, everything stores in the form of bytes, and boolean is 1 bit. It store 1 bit of data it will store. Default values I have given. The only default values which you cannot understand is this one. This character represents null. Null character. This represents the null character. The default value of character is null character. Okay, fine. And the description I have given. This short stores what type of values? It stores only whole numbers. Even int, long, all these three stores only whole numbers with different ranges. And these two stores fractional numbers. Whole numbers means like 10, 100, 1000, all this comes under whole numbers. Fractionals means 1.23, 100.236. These we are calling it as fractional numbers. Okay. Characters, char stores characters like A, B, small z, or any special characters like equals to. We can store any character using char data type. Boolean stores only true and false. And byte also stores the whole numbers, but the range is from -128 to +127 values. Till that range only it can store the data. So these are all about your data types. The data type, what is the size of that data type occupies, and what kind of data it can store. That also I have given here. And the default values also. If you didn't assign any value to this, then the default values I have given here. Okay. Now the next question is, where we use these data types in programming actually. In programming, where can we use these data types? These data types can be used to declare variables. While declaring variables, we'll be using the data types. We have to tell what type of variable it is. So while declaring the variables, we use data types. As return type to the method, as return type of the method, also we use the data types as return type of the method. We use data type as return type of the methods, and as type of parameters in method signatures and in constructors. We don't know what is constructor and all. We'll see that topic in later classes. Okay. So in these three places in programming, we use data types. Where we use the data types can be used to declare variable, what kind of variable it is, what type of variable it is. There we'll be using. The second one is as return type of the method. We know what is a method and all, no? How we'll be writing the method? The signature of the method is return type, method name, followed by parameters we'll be writing here, isn't it? Inside the method, parameters we'll be writing. Parameters are optional. Okay. We'll be writing, method will look like this. Okay. Here, in the place of return type, we usually write the data types, either int, float, double, char, etc. That is the second one. Coming to third one, as type of the parameters. If you observe here, we have parameters. This is called method signature, no? The first statement in the method definition is method signature. Okay. Inside the parameters, we will be usually write the parameters by giving the type. Int A, comma, int B, likewise. Here also we use the data types to specify the type of the parameters. These are parameters. A, B are parameters. So we are giving those types also in the method signature. So in this include even we use in the constructors also. That point I'll be discussing. I'll discuss when we deal with constructors topic. Okay. So in these three places we use data types. While declaring the variables, we have to use data types. While in method definitions, as return type also we can use the data types. And while declaring the parameters in the method signatures also we use data types. Even in the constructors, parameterized constructors, for declaring the parameters we use the data types. In these three cases we will be using the data types in programming part. Okay students, so we have discussed many things. We have discussed the introductory part, who developed and which company has been developed Java, for what kind of applications Java can be used. All those introductory part we have seen. The next part is we have gone through the data types in Java. There are 8 primitive data types in Java. Those I have listed. I have given the size of each data type, the default values of each data type, and the description of each data type, and where can we use the data type. All these things we covered in today's lecture. Okay. So the next topic is variables. Variables in Java. Okay. So we'll be discussing what is variable, how to to declare variables, how to define variables or initialize the variables, and what are the different types of variables we are having in Java. All these 4 questions we are discussing now. Okay, fine. So students, what is a variable? The first question is, what is a variable? We have already used these variables in C programming, Python programming, in C++ programming. We already well known about this concept, but still I'll be discussing because this is a concept, a little different concept in Java. Okay. So variables. Variable, I have given the definition part here. Variable is a container which holds the values. It is a container which is holding the values. Okay. And that is the first thing. And the second one is, whatever the values the container is holding, that values can be varied, changes throughout the program. We will be using the variables in our program to hold the data. Inside our program, if I want to give any data to the program, that data will be held by some container. That container I am calling it as a variable. Variable is a container which holds the data. Okay. We'll be giving some data to the program, some input or some output we'll be getting. All those data should be present in some container. That container I'm calling it as a variable here. Variable is a container which holds the values. And these values, once I assign the values to the variables, that values can be changed throughout the program. It is not fixed. It is not constant. We can change the values of the variables in the entire program. So only we are calling it as variable, varies. Its value varies. Okay. So this is the basic definition of the variable. Now we will see how to declare the variables. What is the second one? How to declare the variables. How to declare the variables? The syntax to declare the variables is data type followed by variable name. This is the way we usually declare the variable. What is the syntax to declare the variable? Data type followed by variable name. I have discussed this point when I have discussed data types. Where we use the data types to declare the variables. I have given the first point as to declare the variables. So how to declare the variables is, the syntax is this one: data type space followed by variable name. Variable name is again an identifier. Variable name is an identifier. The user can give any name as variable name, followed by, we have some constraint. What are the constraints we are having while declaring the variable name? The starting letter should be alphabet. The starting letter of variable name should be alphabet. And it allows numbers also in between. The third one is, no special symbols are allowed except no special symbols are used except underscore. We can use underscore. Okay. So these are the rules while writing a variable names. Variable name, as a user we can give any name, but to give that name also we have some rules. What are the rules? The first letter should be always an alphabet. In between we can write any numbers also, and no special characters are allowed except underscore. I'll give some examples for this also. Okay. See, the syntax I have given now we'll see an example how to declare the variable. Data type I am taking it as int here, int, and variable name I am taking it as a and semicolon. This is an example of declaring a variable of type. Which type? Integer type. A is of what type? A is of integer type. So A can hold only, variable can hold values, no? So A can hold only whole numbers. Why only whole numbers? Because of what type I have declared here? Of type int. So int can stores only whole numbers. Okay. Likewise, I can also declare float b. Here a is a variable, b is a variable. I have given variable names like this also. I should not give the variable names like this, like add 2. I should not write something like this. This is not a valid variable name because I have used what? This is a space here. No special symbols are allowed. No special symbols are allowed except underscore. Instead of this, I can go like this. Int add underscore 2. I can go like this. Underscore I can use. I should not use spaces, dollar, @ symbols in between the variable as a variable name. Okay. So a valid variable names I can give for you. Like I can take the valid variable names are 1, 2, add underscore 2 and number 1. I can use numbers also in between the variable names. Inside the variable name I can use in between, but I should not use it as a first character. I should not write something like this, 1 add. This is not a valid variable name because what is the first character I have taken? 1. The first character should be always alphabet. What is the first character? First character in a variable name should be always alphabet. In between I can use any numbers, okay? And I should not use any special characters also. These are the few rules we usually follow while declaring the variable names. Okay, so what is the syntax of declaring a variable? Data type followed by variable name. So the example, data type means I can take int a, char, c, double, d. Likewise, I can declare some variables. Okay. Now a is a variable which is holding only whole numbers because it is of what type? Int type. C is a variable of what type? Char. So it can store only a single character like A or B or C likewise. Here D is a variable name of what type? Double. It can store fractional numbers. Okay. So this is the way we usually declare the variables. What is second one we have done? And coming to the third one, how to define or initialize the variables. Defining or initialize, both are same. Both words are same here. Okay. How to define or initialize the variables. That we'll see now. So how to define the variable. The syntax for defining the variable is data type. First we have to declare the variable. Data type, variable name equals to value. This is the way we can define the or initialize the variables. We can initialize the variables by using this syntax. Example, instead of data type I am taking int, variable name I am taking it as a is equals to 10. Why I have to given 10? Because a is a variable of type int, it can store only whole numbers. I should not take 10.23, 100.23 likewise. Okay. And float b is equals to 200.3. Because b is a variable of type float. Float stores fractional numbers. Okay. Similarly, char c is equals to p. Likewise, I can store the characters. C is a variable of type character. It can store only a single character but not group of characters. That single character always needs to be put it inside a single quotations. I cannot write something like this. Char C is equals to peer. This is invalid one because C is of type char. It stores only a single value, but I have given here group of values P, E, E, R. 4 single characters I have given. The C cannot store more than one character. It stores only a single character. So that is char C, P. This is valid. I should not give char C is equals to. This is invalid because C is a variable of type character. It can store only a single character. But here I have given group of characters, which is invalid. C can store only a single character but not group of characters. For that we can go for another concept called to store group of values, group of characters. We can use strings in Java. That concept will be covering in later classes. Okay. So likewise we can define the variables. Okay. Now coming to the next one. What is the next one? How many types of variables? The next one is types of variables. We We have seen what is a variable. Variable is a container which holds the value. We know how to declare variable, how to initialize a variable. Now we'll see types of variables in Java. We have local variables. There are 4 different kinds of variables. How many different kinds of variables? 4 different kinds of variables. Local variables, instance variables, static variables. Sorry, it's not 4, it's 5. There are 5 different kinds of static variables and final variables. We usually call final variables as constants. Okay, those are constants actually. So these are the different types of variables in Java. Local variables, instance variables, static variables and final variables. Okay, local variables. We use the local variables which are used inside a method. Variables which are used inside a method definition is called local variables. Local variables are the variables which are declared and used inside a method. That is called local variables. Coming to the instance variables. Instance variables are defined and declared in a class. We usually use some variables inside a class. Those variables we are calling it as a instance variables. Whatever the variables we declare inside a class, those are called as instance variables. And these variables also will be declaring inside a class. These variables also will be declaring inside a class, but with a special modifier called static. That we'll see in later classes. These variables also will be declaring and defining inside a class, but by using a special modifier called static. Okay. And next one, coming to the last one, these also will be using these also we can either declare it in a class or in methods. We can also use it in methods. We can use the methods of, we can use these variables inside a class or inside methods. We usually use these variables to declare constants in Java. Okay. So these are the 4 different types of variables. Local variables, instance variables, static variables and final variables. Local variables means these variables are used and declared, defined and used within the method only, within the method definition. The instance variables are defined or declared inside a class and can be used anywhere within the class. And outside the class also we can use. That part I'll be covering in later classes. Okay. And static variables also we can use, we can define, declare inside a class and we can use it inside a class. Coming to the final variables are nothing but constants. If you want to define any constants, we'll be using the final keyword to define constants and we can use it inside the class and inside the methods and all. Okay, so these are the different kinds of variables we are having in Java. So that's all about your variables concept. In variables, we have seen what is a variable, how many types of variables are there, how to declare a variable and how to define a variable. How we'll be using these variables in a programming part, that we'll be covering in the next lecture. Okay.